and welcome to our live session. My name is Flavia Richardson, and every month I am proud to introduce amazing experts, founders, and investors in our ecosystem. Most importantly, at Juice, we focus on financing companies in direct to consumer, and we provide them a lot of hands-on support with their digital marketing and a network of amazing partners. It is really my pleasure to welcome today Katharine Dunlap, the head of skill at Sky team, and most importantly, I want to be able to share with you guys today a few things about TV advertising. Before I introduce Katharine and I'll let her develop some of the amazing things that she's been working over the years, I just want to say that the session is about looking into how Sky is positioned to lead the way for many young brands to a large audience. This is something that we have all struggled in our industry. Only larger brands had access to TV advertising, omnichannel strategies, and most importantly, it has always been inaccessible for so many founders. But things are about to change, and Katharine is leading this effort in our ecosystem. Katharine is working with Sky Media. She has an amazing background and has been with Comcast, NBCUniversal, The Economist Group, Condé Nast. So I can't imagine a better guest to have with me today. Katharine, welcome to our monthly session. It is a pleasure to have you today. And I'm so keen to learn a little bit about your background and journey before we go, and you can share with us how Sky is approaching and how Sky is working with businesses.
Great. Thank you, Flavia, for that amazing introduction. Yeah, and for having me here today, talk about my favorite subject, TV. I'm delighted to speak with everybody today to give you a snapshot of really the ever-evolving TV and digital landscape. I'm hoping to give you a bit more insight into how online and D2C companies in general are using TV to help them scale significantly their businesses, and show you how me and my team are working with lots of D2C businesses to build the most effective campaigns that really deliver against your most meaningful KPIs and business outcomes. So I'm hoping to get through a lot of stuff today and looking forward to answering any questions that you have at the end.
Amazing, Katharine. Brilliant. So I'll let you take over from here. Very excited to learn more about how Sky works with companies and what the process looks like. And I'm sure that many people in the audience are also excited to just get their heads around how can I introduce this in my journey earlier on, so
Absolutely.
I can reach millions and millions of people very early and position my brand.
Absolutely. And we'll delve in, or I'll delve into a little bit about how we can do that and how it's really applicable for all sorts of brands. So without further ado, I'll get started. So as I said, the TV is an ever-evolving landscape. And today we're in a truly, totally different landscape as TV has evolved so much over the last several years, but especially so within the last few years. So over really the pandemic period. And in the past, TV was TV and digital was digital, and never shall those two paths cross. These days, those lines really are continuing to be blurred because both channels are incredibly effective marketing channels for brands. Questions like, is broadcast content watched on a device still considered TV? Is digital content watched on TV still digital? And so TV was not typically only deemed, TV was typically deemed, as you said, Flavia, for the big, large, well-established household name brands. with pretty significant marketing budgets. But over the last years, we've seen a literal explosion of platforms with what seems like an infinite number of ways to now consume content. So both consumers and advertisers are truly blessed with a myriad of choices. So this has really paved the way for a lot of online-born brands to scale their business. So addressable capabilities has meant that more advertisers can be more precise with their creative, their message, and their audience. TV's become a lot more accessible in terms of actual cost, but also the entry of more products and audiences that you're able to access. The ability to target specific audiences and gain that greater insight into the real performance of that campaign is really now possible on TV and has been for a few years now, but that was really only previously available to digital platforms. So we're really benefiting from that insight. And now brands can be incredibly agile when it comes to optimizing and tweaking campaigns, either in flight or with always on campaigns. So from January to July last year, a few stats. In the UK, just shy of £600 million was invested into TV from these, online-born businesses alone. And they're spending over 37% more since 2019, which is so significant. And Trini up here, as many as you will know, is a beauty brand that's just launched. And we've worked with them over the last year to help scale them onto TV. And they're seeing some great results and multiple campaign executions as a result, which is great. As many of you will know, the boom in e-commerce has had a significant effect in the shape of the overall TV market. So as you'll see here in 2021, online-born businesses accounted for 20% of all linear TV spend in the UK. All categories, though, ranging from food to finance to retail, saw growth, but at 42% increase year on year, these online businesses by far were the biggest of all the major sectors. So really incredible stuff. And if we look at this category in a bit more detail, this surge in spend is made up from a diverse selection of business sectors. Some long established ones that you'll know, the comparison sites, but other new brands onto the market, such as the online used car retailers like Cinch, Kazoo, Carwow, etc., as well as food delivery and subscription services. And this area, as many of you will know, is just proliferating before our eyes as they expand into new and super disruptive sectors. So why use TV to scale? Well, the broad reach of TV, as I think Flavia said, enables businesses to scale quickly, really quickly. So just that mass, reach absolutely does the job. And this chart breaks down that driving force for this online secondhand car dealership. So following a small scale test to establish the case for TV, this brand invested heavily in the late 2020 and early 2021, scaling to over 500,000 weekly visitors in just a few months. And the TV advertising driving the bulk of that traffic, as you can clearly see here. Many of you will know this brand. TV absolutely drives brand search. And as you can see, there's a clear relationship between Vinted being on TV and the searches of Vinted online. TV advertising absolutely prompts people to search for your brand directly or specifically, as opposed to the category, which allows TV to work just much harder for these brands. And it really doesn't stop there. This data, which was kindly donated from a friendly advertiser in the furniture sector, I might add, shared their econometric results that show how conversion improves TV spend as it increases. So not only TV generated higher volumes of traffic, but it generated an increase in the likeliness that when somebody does come to your site, that they'll actually buy something as a result, which is what we're trying to do at the end of the day, make it more relevant to audiences so they purchase your product or service. And perhaps, in my opinion, the most impressive effect of TV is its actual effect on all the other advertising channels. So it has by far the biggest multiplier effect, as we say, on other media. As you'll see on the top line here, highlighted by the mini green boxes. And unbelievably, on average, TV can enhance the impact of these channels by up to 54%. And no other media truly comes anywhere close. So that multiplier effect is indeed happening all over the place. So how can we help you out? So as Flavia said, we've been Sky has been part of the Comcast NBCU family since 2018. And now we're truly one global portfolio competing on a truly global scale. And just to give you a sense of that scale, we have on average 700 million monthly global reach across 150 countries. So great scale, mass, reach. And as a company, we invest over $24 billion across world-class award-winning content, spanning sports, entertainment, and news, and much more. And I hope for those on the call that you're Sky customers as well, enjoying lots of that great content. We're really interacting all throughout the day with households that have many touch points. So in fact, over 300 digital touch points we have with customers on a daily basis. And that reaches across our sites, our apps, our social handles, and our great streaming services, Now and Peacock. And all of that means we can deliver laser targeted campaigns in a truly localized area, all the way up to the multi-country executions across our entire media mix. So it really is whatever your kind of business priority is, we can deliver on that. All of this, you'll be pleased to know, is truly underpinned by our industry-leading measurement capabilities that is ever evolving, and it spans across both brand metrics as well as performance metrics, which I'll show you in a little bit more detail later on. But again, as I'm saying, this capability is growing each day as we just add more things to our armory. So our approach, we like to think, is quite simple. We simply, partner together with brands to define your objective, find your audience, target those audiences in what we know is a safe test and learn environment that's truly accountable and absolutely measurable. And we do this in order for us to optimize, in order to help scale your business accordingly. So I'll just dig a bit deeper into those 5 different areas to give you a flavor for how we do it. So whether you're driving, big brand awareness or simple brand awareness, or honing in on specific performance metrics, or indeed a combination of the two, which is more likely the case because you need both of these at the very beginning of your journey, we use insight-led planning to build a media plan that's truly fit for purpose. We will help you find your most relevant audiences for your product or your service across our platforms, which we can better inform by using your first party matched with the Sky database, or indeed a plethora of other data sources that we can provide as well, but all the while finding who your audience is, your ideal audience is. We also have several routes to market for new to TV brands, but I've just crystallized it into the kind of most common 3 areas that we tend to kind of start out on. And those are performance TV, addressable TV, and digital and video on demand. And just to give you a flavor for each, performance TV really allows you to optimize that TV spend against traffic and sales and measure in flight. Addressable TV, which maybe a few of you would know is affectionately called AdSmart, allows you to target specific households on a global or localized level. Our AdSmart technology spans the UK, the US, Germany, Sky Italia, and Sky Ireland. So, you can operate at great scale or indeed, niche audiences in certain areas. And then with our digital and video on demand opportunity, we can directly target consumers and retarget these customers across premium digital video, as well as our fast growing streaming services that I mentioned, Peacock and Now, which is just gaining in momentum. And as I said, we provide a real safe and test and learn environment in order to allow for brands to really figure out what's working and what's not, strip out the stuff that's not working and do more of what is working, and really improve that either cost per acquisition or get you more and more relevant eyeballs that are going to be buying your products and services. So as I said, I was going to delve deeper into our measurement capabilities, and I actually need to build a bigger slide to incorporate these, which I will. But for right now, we are, offering lots of different insights that really span across the full marketing funnel. So whether it be, brand insights that you're looking for, we can deliver that through independent studies, either through BDRC or Kantar, for example. Or if you're more interested in sort of the performance measurements, we can use our in-house web attribution capability to measure site traffic, for example, dwell time, or impact on your sales. So truly what you're hoping to measure, I am sure that we have some version of how we can do that on our end. So, I just wanted to mention a few of the brands that we've been working with over the last year, and this we can send across some case studies afterwards, but I've just kind of crystallized it down to 3 that I hope you'll find exciting, and maybe you will have heard of a few of them. But Hydro is a great one. They are sort of the Pelotons of the treadmill, dare I say it. But they used our AdSmart technology as their broadcast TV element to launch their first ever campaign in the UK. And really through this AdSmart targeting, Hydro was able to reach that high affluent audience that was able to buy their machine and was most in market for wanting a Hydro as well. This absolutely was a successful campaign, driving lots of website visits, increased consideration, which they were most looking to achieve, and intent to purchase was 5 times more likely for those that we serve the ad to. So amazing stats there. Ecosia wanted to make millions of people aware across the UK and selected European countries know that Ecosia could turn their search request online into planting trees on land. So it's a search engine that's competing with the likes of Google and Bing. So what they did, they ran an AdSmart campaign as well, but they coupled that with an out-of-home message campaign as well. And the majority of their metrics were significantly impacted as well. They achieved over 470 million impressions throughout the course of quite a tightly delivered campaign, significantly impacting their KPIs right across the purchase funnel. So some great stuff there as well. And CleanCo, which is a low to no alcohol product, ran in January of last year, obviously for dry January, looking to target high income households that were most likely to be CleanCo customers. And those response rates from those households was 4 times more likely to buy CleanCo. So we really got that message out to the right people. And the thing I was going to say about this is that we were able to absolutely see what that uplift was as opposed to another audience, because we have a test and control methodology where we absolutely know who was exposed to the ad and those that were not exposed to the ad. So we have really clever ways and simple ways to understand what's happening on the back end. So I'm pleased to say that they repeated several campaigns as well. So I'm going to end with this slide because I'm really excited to answer some questions. But we've this is a slide that's compiled our top 5 questions that were commonly asked by clients that we talk to on a regular basis, speaking to their plans, and we get asked these kind of more often than not. So, you know, do you provide creative assistance? Yes, we absolutely do. We have a roster of agencies that can help with that creative messaging, because we appreciate that is a potential barrier to entry, because that's not necessarily something you think about, you know, or have the expertise in. But I'm pleased to say that we can assist with that. We can also assist with the creative clearance on air, which does exist in the UK, not so much in the US, but we're more than happy to help you out with that. Perhaps the most asked is, what's the entry level of spend? And this is definitely not an exact science, but we tend to say, you know, 30 to 50 grand is sort of a really good, honest, you know, budget to have, to be able to ascertain what's going on in that sort of month to 2 month activity. But this is by no means, you know, absolute. So we're flexible on that entry level cost. And we absolutely, with working with my team, we're happy to assist with sort of that planning support that may be necessary to, you know, see a bit more about, you know, your audience, so a bit more insight into who that audience is, or indeed if they're consuming more digital or streaming services, to be able to plan a pretty robust launch campaign. And as I explained, we are absolutely able to measure TV just as good as digital, and what most clients are used to getting, the dashboards from what they're doing in either social media or in digital. We're able to really match that capability and hopefully exceed it in the future. So yeah, so without further ado, I'm more than happy, Flavia, to field any questions or.
Yeah, amazing. Katharine, this was such a great presentation. I felt that I've learned more, and I know that we've been in touch and had quite a few of them already. I just wanted, you know, we obviously have quite a few questions from the audience. We had a few questions that were sent over by our companies. So I'm just gonna delve right into the mix of it. Probably more than a dozen right now. And as many founders are going to watch this, and probably the recording on all the platforms that we're streaming, I think that those are some of the most amazing questions that we've got so far.
Great. I hope I can answer them all.
Yeah, I'm sure you can. I think the first one, we're usually dealing with companies that are earlier in their journey. Obviously, you've mentioned some amazing brands that we know from our ecosystem, and most importantly, brands that I use every day, like Vinted. I absolutely love you guys. Sending my hellos. I think first things first. What is the minimum budget that a company has to have in order to even consider TV advertising as part of their strategy? And what is the sort of guidance on that cash allocation that they need to have?
It's a great question, Flavia, and an obvious question, and we get asked it all the time. I'm going to talk like a lawyer. It depends, but it is. You'll be pleased to know it's based on a few different factors that we can easily suss out, you know, when talking to a brand. But generally speaking, we found the sweet spot for a brand that has to, you know, make, you know, a considerable impact on TV, should be spending minimum of 50 grand per month in that launch phase. And the reason for that is that we need a certain amount of impressions going out on TV to be able to understand what is going on with that. So we want to be able to make some absolutely discernible trends on that data. So anything less than 2 million impressions, we're just not able to really understand what's going on. So we kind of tend to see that sweet spot is from 2 million and above, all the way up to, you know, whatever it is, you know, 2 to kind of 15 million impressions. And that usually cost around £50,000 £50,000 based on who your audience is. But the more kind of desirable your audience is, so ABC1, you know, are a bit more affluent, that's going to cost you slightly more. But if you're going to, you know, housewives with kids, that's going to be a little less. But generally speaking, that 50 grand mark is usually a good benchmark.
Amazing. Well, to those in the audience and those seeing this, Juice is positioned to and works closely with Sky on providing founders access to the capital they require so that they can go out there and scale their business, use TV advertising alongside digital mediums to get the brand awareness, improve conversion, and generally position their brand for the future. So I think that, you know, definitely as you're looking at the process, consider us, reach out to us. I'll drop our emails in the bottom, and absolutely engage to learn more and plan your journey. Um, in terms of thinking about making the transition, there's obviously the consideration of capital, and maybe that is maybe $250,000 to begin with. Maybe it's a little bit less, a little bit more, depending on the business, what audience they want to reach. But what is the right point at which you can consider, and what do you need to have done before engaging within TV advertising as a brand? What are the sort of more practical elements? Um, I'm not sure whether you have any guidance on when founders should start thinking, actually, TV is for me, and that is where I should be as a brand. Is it awareness? Is it number of sales? Is it revenue? Or is it just pure capability of servicing a much larger audience than they naturally would have?
Absolutely, and that again is, yeah, it depends as well. But what I guess the message, or what the message I want to put through, is that at the start of the journey, because we have proven, so we take for granted that growing organically on digital and social is a total yes. So that is going to happen anyway. We and it absolutely works. We find that, you know, we can talk to, you know, brands at kind of all stages of the journey, but we would love to be considered slightly earlier in that journey when they're already considering that social and digital push as well, because we have proven that TV can be more effective for those exact things. So to improve organic brand search, you know, for your brand. So at that very early stage, we know brands that start that journey into TV earlier have already brand recognition for their brands outright. So you know, consumers are not just searching for a category, delivery services. They know that brand, you know, that they're searching for. And so we believe, you know, at the very beginning of that kind of journey is potentially useful to be speaking to us, of which we're happy to do so. But yes, I guess, you know, we definitely need, you know, certain volumes, I guess, of, you know, web traffic to the sites, but not exorbitant amounts. Probably, you know, a few, you know, 100,000, you know, potentially going to your website, consumers. But it absolutely depends, because you may have a niche financial product that only appeals, you know, to a certain segment of the population. So, but I think the voiceover is that we would love to get involved at the very beginning to see how we can enhance anything that you may be doing already on your digital efforts.
Amazing. Fantastic. Wait, questions are piling up, which is really good. Okay, so I'm gonna take one from the audience, because Diana has wrote to us, and there is a shift in our ecosystem around media for equity. Is that something that Sky has been engaged with, or anything that Sky might have done in this respect?
Sure.
I'm not sure whether I wasn't aware, but definitely, Katharine, let me know what you guys have done.
You're on the same page. So as of right now, no, we do not offer any media for equity opportunities. That's not to say it might not be available in the future, but right now we are very much concentrating on helping new to TV brands scale by putting together bulletproof media plans that absolutely deliver on kind of those 5 capabilities that I talked about. We absolutely know if we get the media strategy and plan correct about who your audience is, how we can deliver more eyeballs to that, and indeed your message be quite receptive to those guys. That is the secret sauce. So that's what we're doing right now. But we tend to work quite directly with brands, shall I say. That's not to say that we can't have other parties involved, but we find that by working really closely with brands in a true partnership, that is really a good way of doing it as well. And we get the best results from that.
Amazing. We have another question. I'm going to put it here. Rob, thank you so much for engaging with us. Rob discusses about the period during COVID when the conversion rates were really high, and that continued throughout the lockdowns. And then what happened afterwards? Have you guys seen a reduction in conversion of ads? Generally, this is around performance, and what happens now that we're out of the lockdown and into almost back to usual?
Yeah. So that's a 2-pronged question, because yes, TV viewing, as everybody will know, from 2-year-old kids to 102 ages, we're watching TV. So we were benefiting from double-digit growth viewing figures, which was amazing because TV was where it's at. And yes, the cost of entry to go on TV during the kind of height of lockdown allowed a lot of brands to get on because the price point was incredibly accessible. I'm pleased to say, Rob, that price is started to normalize because, TV is what it is. And it absolutely works. But in terms of conversion rates, I wouldn't say that we're seeing like any depression, with that. We're just seeing different things. So we're seeing a lot of audiences consuming media on different platforms as well. So a lot of our streaming services have been booming. Our video on demand, which is appointment to view advertising, is seeing, incredible growth. So we're seeing, depending on what your, message is, we're just trying to get those audiences in the most appropriate place at the right price point for you to do that. But I wouldn't say that we've seen any drop off necessarily. We're just seeing it sort of convert in different ways. I hope that answers your question.
Rob, if anything, you have our emails in the event pages, so please do reach out to either myself or Katharine, and then I'll look you guys in if you want to continue the conversation. I have another question from Christian. He's really discussing about the granularity of the audience targeting. Thank you, Christian, for your question, and thank you for engaging.
Yeah, no, it's a great question. Well, I'm pleased to say that we can get incredibly granular, but in compliance with GDPR, I think we don't go any less than 5,000 households. But having said that, so that's sort of the threshold because of identifying anybody. So obviously we don't do that. But we can go to the first 2 letters of any postcode in the UK. So we can get incredibly granular with a message. And indeed kind of layer over that a few things, but we just don't kind of go below the 5,000 mark in terms of households.
Perhaps a little bit on the granularity, and this is just delving a little bit deeper. So obviously there's the geographical, but then there are the demographic elements that naturally you would get from digital platforms. Would you be able to provide a sort of lookalike profile or analysis of how an audience on a digital platform would translate into your audience?
Absolutely. So we call that sort of custom campaigns. So yes, we can absolutely do a data match. So with a data sharing agreement, we can take a customer's, a brand's database, match that against the Sky database, figure out where those matches are and indeed the headroom for what that looks like. And we can absolutely put together some lookalike modeling to be able to project how we can find those across the ecosystem. So there's a lot of interesting opportunities in that place. But
so
we can
really, so there's the same kind of granularity in the sense that you could actually match different profiles across the platforms and have the same approach on TV.
Absolutely. So we can do that on, AdSmart. We can do that on Advanced, which is our retargeting capability. And we're beginning to do that on video on demand as well. So it's really exciting stuff.
Guys, we're in a brave new world. It's fascinating. I have an amazing question. Okay, Jem, our founder. Thank you, Jem, for sending us the question. The key difference between terrestrial and digital channel viewership or reach.
Yeah.
I'm not sure that I understood the difference, but potentially you can clarify.
I think, yeah. So the live linear stream, so we call that linear. So that's live, and then everything else that happens on a other device, that's digital. As simple as that, I guess. So all the streaming services are considered digital.
So if I was looking and just like that on Sky and I see a commercial, that is terrestrial because it's live, it's streamed at the same time within the program, right?
Yes.
And then if I'm seeing it on any other on demand, then it would be digital.
Digital, yes.
Got it. Okay, amazing. I think I'm gonna follow on to that question. I know that you've showed some productions, and you guys clearly have the most amazing channel, amazing shows ever. I'm just kind of key question. There's this trend in our industry. A lot of influencers, a lot of brands, very very early on, associate themselves with different different individuals or celebrities or on different platforms to be able to address a much larger audience. How would they be able to work with Sky if, let's say, it was a question about product placement in a specific episode or a specific show? We all know it happens for the larger luxury brands or car manufacturers, but what would it take for a younger brand to make that leap and be seen in some of the most popular shows that we have right now on this planet?
That's a really great question, and actually one that I don't talk enough about. But yes, absolutely. So we have access to Sky talent and lots of other talent, especially tapping into NBC Universal's talent pool as well. But with the brands, say they have a brand ambassador, we can absolutely leverage and maximize that content, whatever that is, across our platforms. We have product placement opportunities, we have sponsorship opportunities that we can do, but we can make original content and simply place it in the right areas. So yes, absolutely. And we can, I guess, facilitate that those talent matchings if that is of interest. But we can also say a brand has an ambassador that they want to promote. We can talk about how we could leverage that as well. But that, and that's about connecting the whole marketing mix. So whatever you're doing potentially on social media or YouTube or whatever it may be, we can sort of match those efforts or complement them with TV and digital on our end. Absolutely.
Amazing. Very soon we're going to have new brands in some of the most popular shows on planet Earth. So that would be quite interesting to see. Oh my, this is exciting. I know that Raj, our CEO, has sent us a question. What is the correlation between production budget and the effectiveness of advertising? So what can you tell to the audience?
Right. So I only know anecdotally that would be really interesting. So to put, hey, the price of advertising, like production of an advertising unit, to the price of the media, I'll do some analysis. What we absolutely know is that you do not need a big, Hollywood budget to produce a great ad. That's absolutely what we know. And we've seen that because we were forced actually over the lockdown period to produce a lot of content in-house on a shoestring with really limited assets. So there's lots of things that we can do now with CGI. We repurpose or reversion, as we're calling it, a lot of assets to be able to put together a great ad that tells a story in 30 seconds. And I guess the true answer to that is if you're able to convey succinctly in an exciting, effective way what your product or service does within that 30-second period, I think that's effective. So we can definitely your ad can definitely be effective on a shoestring budget for absolute sure.
For those founders that are viewing this live or outside on the playback, it would be really great to just understand what is the minimum budget. Clearly, there is a starting point below which you can't really go because the quality is just not going to be there.
Yep. So it's Flavia, if I can just answer that. So I have literally gotten brands onto TV for as little as $3,000. And that was definitely an infographic reversioning job, but effective. Perhaps sort of the most likely budgets are probably around 10 to 20 grand because the cost of media, is around 50. So you don't want the, cost of your ad to be greater than that necessarily because you're going to, reversion that advertising later on. So it can't be too expensive in this sort of first initial phase of trying, out how your brand is resonating with consumers. So, I mean, quite palatable prices, I hope.
Yeah, definitely. That is within the reach of many founders. Just one more question from Raj. This is about timing from production
Yeah.
until going live. How long does it take? How does that process look like?
Really good question. And again, it depends on a few factors, as you can imagine, creative. If you need to have an ad made, that takes, a few weeks to be able to do. Ad clearance, it takes, a little while, but generally speaking, and it depends on what platform you ultimately want to go on. But I would say 4 to 5 weeks is an absolute doable timeline. Is it a tight timeline? Probably, but it is absolutely doable. And there is no sort of hold up with anything except making sure that we have the strategy right. So that takes a bit of time to sort of suss out, what that is. And we don't want to go on air prematurely. We want to make sure that we have sort of the measurement in place, the absolute objectives defined by both parties to be able to know and expect, or have the expectations met. So I would say, 2 months is a very realistic timeline, but it can definitely be quicker, which I would say 4 to 5 weeks is an absolutely doable timeline as well, with something a bit more straightforward. So perhaps creative being made, and we just need to figure out what the media plan is.
Got it. That is really great. It takes longer to build a website than to go live on TV. That's something, isn't it?
Yes, actually it is. Yes.
Oh my! Stephen has a question. Thank you, Stephen, for sending it across. He said his question is, I'm going to share it with the audience. It's really about 50,000 is quite a steep price per month, especially if you're going to run for maybe 2-3 months to get the best out of your exposure, see the growth, and be able to continue with many different things. Do you have any initiatives within Sky to help very early stage founders, or maybe specific programs that you work with, to give them a teaser of this before they go into that full scale mode?
Yeah, and do you know what this is, Steve? I think this is an area that we hope you'll see developing over the next year, because we appreciate that brands aren't necessarily ready, but yes, we do. So we have the SME 250 fund, which caters to smaller brands to get onto TV, and AdSmart is that usual route. So that is an opportunity. We also have the Footprint Fund, which is our sustainability initiative, where a brand has to absolutely live and breathe sustainability, so you can enter that fund. And there's actually a few other funds that'll be shortly announced. I can't necessarily reveal now those, but we do absolutely acknowledge that brands need a little bit more assistance, shall I say, at that very early stage. But that's not to say that you shouldn't still talk to my team, because as I said, yeah, whilst we know sort of the sweet spot is around 50K for brands that are, at that stage that they want to go full throttle onto TV, and they're seeing those diminishing returns happening on their digital and social channels. But there's many things that we can do below the line to test the validity of lots of different things that you may be looking to prove out in those early days. So we're more than happy to talk to you about that as well.
Yeah, Stephen, reach out to me. I'll be more than happy. We'll leave the email addresses in the event page, so you'll be able to follow up with Katharine directly. I know that Mark has sent us quite a few questions. Mark, happy to connect you with Katharine. I know that you have very specific questions around the furniture sector. And this is, I think, again, about the data, the data on regional examples of furniture sector, online retailers. Mark runs an amazing, very successful company in this space, and obviously this is important for him. So, Katharine, over to you.
Yeah, do you know what? And Mark, I will definitely follow up with you on this, but I'm so pleased to say that we have loads of examples, not just in the furniture sector, but because of our measurement capabilities, we've been doing lots of behind the scenes work. So we have, reams of examples per industry, actually, per sector or category, as we're calling it, for how we've scaled businesses. And just from memory, yeah, we definitely have at least a few that I think you'll find really interesting within that arena. And actually a lot of them, because of our local teams, there are a lot of regional examples. There's a lot of national examples as well, but we can absolutely learn from those. So yes, more than happy to share that. But there's, lots of different sectors, as I said, that we're able to show, real cut through and success from just doing kind of regional or specific audience targeting, which I think you said ABC1 in that example, but certainly we'll be able to shed a bit more light for sure.
Yeah, Mark, we'll follow up. We'll definitely connect with you. I know there is one last question, and then it's funny how time flew by. I can't believe it. Almost 50 minutes, and we're out of time. Jem has just followed up on the terrestrial and digital. Do you see a trend towards digital, or do you see better performance on terrestrial? So just a follow up on the previous question.
So linear, so live viewing is still, quite healthy, but absolutely we are seeing, because of the proliferation of devices, we are seeing consumption of that content fragmenting, and it has been fragmenting, for several years now. But yes, we are absolutely seeing a surge in people just wanting to watch the content when they want to watch it. And I mean, you can't blame them. They want to watch it on the go. They want to not watch an 8:00 show at 8:00. They want to watch it, at a different time that's convenient to them. So absolutely. But there is still a lot of live viewing happening with things like the news, especially, in this day and age. And with sport, for example, so ton of, live viewing still happening, but I think the real interesting arena is where this consumption of media is going outside of that, which is just evolving before our eyes. So yeah, so that's why we typically plan media across a few platforms, to be able to engage with different and unique audiences, to be able to capture what those well, to put your message in front of those consumers whenever and wherever they're watching their most favorite content.
Amazing. Catherine, we've reached the very end. I wanted to tell you, I've really enjoyed it. It was
Great.
exciting. So much engagement from our audience across both platforms. I'm very, very happy that to have you here to learn about the program, to learn how you guys are really shaping the way in which we engage with brands, and how you can help them leapfrog their performance. And I think fundamentally, this is the point. You're getting from maybe a few tens of thousands of hits on your website into the sort of millions of hits. And by doing that, you're leapfrogging your awareness, your performance. And one of the things I want to say that we're here at Juice, we're able to fund, we're able to give you guys the bandwidth to realize these complex strategies and to move into the next phase of growth. And Catherine, I hope that we're going to do this again very soon to discuss different aspects, maybe even delve a little bit more into that process, how companies can navigate it, how they can prepare, and some of the granularity on the data. And maybe we can even suggest some verticals where we could look a little bit more in a bit more detail, or even have a founder that has tried it to just share the
Yeah,
story with us.
it would be my pleasure, Flavia. Yes, yes, would love to delve a bit deeper into what is truly an ever evolving space. So always lots to talk about, and would be happy to anytime.
Amazing. Catherine, everyone, thank you. Thank you for making the time. And until next time, stay tuned. Take
Thank
care. Bye, guys.